1,460 days ago, I was just an 18-year-old realtor who convinced my parents to let me invest their money into real estate. Today, that decision has turned into a $1.9 million portfolio that generates over $30,000 a month in income. And yes, my parents got their money back plus more. But here's the thing, if I were to restart with only $25,000 today, I would do almost everything completely differently. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down exactly what I learned, the massive mistakes that have cost me tens of thousands of dollars, and most importantly, the new strategy that I would use if I was restarting with low capital today. So let me be completely transparent about how I got started. I was 18 years old, working as a realtor, had 25K saved up, but I knew that was not enough money to build a portfolio quickly. So I did what a lot of young entrepreneurs do, pitch to their parents. They would provide the capital for the down payments, and I would do all of the work because they can't read or write English. So finding properties, managing rehab, dealing with tenants, everything. Some of you are probably thinking, oh, it's so easy when you have family money. And you're right, it is a privilege to have parents who basically let me use their retirement money to gamble. But here's what's important. The strategy works regardless of where the funds come from. Whether it's your own money, family, private investors, partners, the fundamentals all stay the same. And honestly, using other people's money has taught me to be way more careful and super conservative with my estimates, because I wasn't just gambling with my own cash. When you're betting using your parents' retirement savings, then you better make sure you know what you're doing. The first property we bought was a gorgeous $375,000 home here in Virginia. We bought here because that's what we thought you were supposed to do, buy somewhere close to your primary house. It rented for $2,400 a month. After the mortgage, taxes, insurance, etc., we were netting about $500 a month, 500 bucks on a $75,000 down payment. I realized quickly this was not sustainable, so I researched other markets, eventually stumbling upon a $75,000 house in Cleveland, Ohio. And I realized it could rent for $1,200 through a Section 8 tenant. So do the math on that, making $350 to $500 net just on a $15,000 down payment. I mean, that was almost equivalent to the home we bought in Virginia. See, Section 8 is a program where the landlords get paid directly from the government themselves. It is literally direct deposited to your bank account. And the reason I chose this is A, because of the guaranteed rents, but B, because they were actually about 20% higher rents than regular market rate tenants. Plus, Section 8 tenants tend to stay for an average of 5 to 7 years, which is 2 to 3 times what a regular tenant stays for. So instead of competing with every other investor in my super expensive area of Virginia, I instead went for these C-class working class neighborhoods in these pretty cheap cities and got guaranteed rent from the government instead. But the Section 8 program has a ton of paperwork and inspections to get through. So if you have any questions about this, you can actually ask me live. I've created a completely free community called Investing Section 8, and it has over 1,300 other investors doing the exact same thing as you already inside. So come in, ask questions, join our free masterclasses every Friday. So click the link in the description to join. So here's how my strategy evolved over the next 4 years. The first phase is what I like to call the expensive mistake phase. Our first 2 properties were here in Virginia, very expensive markets. They've appreciated nicely, but the cash flow is just super non-existent. But they did teach me the fundamentals of being a landlord. Phase 2 was what I like to call the discovery phase. It is when I discovered Section 8 as well as the super cheap cities in the Midwest, for example, Cleveland, where we ended up buying a property for $95,000. We put about $15,000 in cosmetic rehab accidentally, and it's because we were kind of misled by some of the listing photos, but it worked out because after the rehab, it appraised for 30 to 40K more and rented for $1,300 through Section 8. Phase 3, the BRRRR phase. This is where things got interesting. We already accidentally did one BRRRR deal, which by the way, BRRRR stands for buy, renovate, rent it out, refinance it, and repeat. So now we would buy a distressed property for, let's say $60,000, put $15K in rehab towards it, and then get it reappraised at $90,000. Then you can just refinance, pay off whatever hard money you used, or just keep the cash. And guess what? You'd have enough to just restart this whole process again. And then phase 4 was the scaling phase. So once I had this system down, it really is just a matter of do a BRRRR, finish it, do a BRRRR, finish it, to the point where you could reasonably buy 3 to 4 properties a year using just the same cash over and over again. And during this time, I also worked full-time as a realtor and helped literally hundreds of beginners get into Section 8 investing. But along the 4 years, I also made some massive mistakes. Mistake number 1, Location. This is the big one. I bought a property in an area that I thought was decent. I thought it was a normal C-class area, and the house itself was gorgeous. New kitchen, new floors, paint all throughout the house, gorgeous. And I thought it would rent instantly. But then it sat vacant for 4 months. 4 months of mortgage payments, utility payments, paying my insurance. We were really just hemorrhaging money at that point. Finally, we decided to go to the area and see what was going on. The house was gorgeous, but the street was terrible. It seemed like the Google Street View was a little bit outdated. There were 3 boarded up houses on the same street. There was trash in the yards, graffiti on all of the signs around the area. So it didn't matter how nice my house was. Nobody wanted to be in an unsafe area. And I totally understand that. So that's when I learned that location trumps everything. You can have the most beautiful house in the world, and if you don't feel safe in the neighborhood, it will not rent, or it's going to rent for a way lower price than you want. An empty house is the biggest liability that a real estate investor can have. Mistake 2 is miscalculating cash flow. I originally was only accounting for the mortgage, the taxes, and the insurance, but there's actually way more factors that you need to bake in. For example, 15% for maintenance, 5% for vacancy. If you're using property management, 8 to 12% for that as well. When my first tenant moved out and they were a regular tenant, they left holes in the wall and the carpet was ruined, so it costed about $700 to fix everything. So that instantly killed 2 months of profits right then and there. Mistake 3 was trying to do everything myself. I thought I could just do everything since that's what I did for my Virginia properties. But as I scaled and we went to Ohio, I realized that I needed systems. I needed property managers who were actually competent and not trying to scam you, or at least software that you could self-manage it. You need contractors that you can trust, processes that work no matter how many homes you have. You need to have solid systems in place so that this actually becomes an investment and not just a part-time job. So if I was starting over with $25,000, here's exactly what I would do differently. Forget about buying homes in A-class and B-class areas. The home prices are just insane and not worth it, and you won't cash flow anyways. I would focus on properties specifically under $100,000 in these C-class working areas. You know, areas where there's a lot of blue-collar jobs, raising families, and they just need affordable housing. Again, they're not the fanciest neighborhoods, but they're stable and the numbers work for you. I also would not waste any time on regular tenants. I would go straight to Section 8. The reason being because they're backed by the US government, they pay above market rent, and they typically stay for 2 to 3 times the length. So why would I want to chase a regular tenant around for rent when the government could just direct deposit it to my bank account every month? And all I really need to do is fill out some more paperwork and pass a few inspections. I also would not split my focus between Virginia and Ohio. I should have just done Ohio from the beginning. So just pick one market, preferably somewhere that you can scale very easily due to low home prices and high cash flow, and then just build up your relationships with property managers, realtors, contractors, etc. until you have at least $1 million there. Next, I would use only DSCR loans, which are perfect for new investors. They do not look at your personal income whatsoever, no tax returns, no W-2, etc. All they really care about is, will this home rent for enough to pay back the mortgage? Past that, all you need is a 680 credit score and then showing some bank statements to prove that you have the cash for down payment and closing costs. If I'd done this from the beginning, this would have also allowed me to scale a lot faster. I would set up property management way in advance, or if you don't like property management, teach yourself how to self-manage it with software like Tenant Cloud. Don't wait until you have 5 or 10 units and it's no longer possible to manage, and you're just burning yourself out at that point and getting a bad taste in your mouth about the program. So now that I've shared my entire journey with you, I didn't actually tell you how to scale properly, just how to buy your first ones and what mistakes to avoid. If you're serious about building your own rental portfolio and want to learn my exact step-by-step system that I use to scale Section 8 properties from $0 to over $1 million, click the video on screen now and you'll end up with your own custom roadmap to start investing. As always, I'm Joseph Khateri. Have a nice day.